Hi, my name is Chris Stallard, and I'm the Business Development Manager for Festi-Lite Decor. We specialize in Christmas light installation. I've been doing this a little over 2 years now, and in that time, I've closed well over $1 million in new sales. In this video, I'm going to walk through my sales process, start to finish, from finding a lead, to talking with a prospective client, to getting an approved quote, and I'll be going through a real example with you. We'll be talking about a home I quoted here in town, the Hendersons, a beautiful 2-story home in a residential neighborhood. You'll watch me qualify it, measure it, price it, and package it into a quote they can sign. Let's start with how to find leads. For residential, it's all about being present in the community, knocking on doors, door hangers, signage, brochures, home shows where people are already looking for a contractor, and other guerrilla marketing tactics. Guerrilla marketing is really just a fancy way of saying low cost, high visibility marketing. Find creative ways to get your brand in front of homeowners. That could be partnering with local businesses, sponsoring community events, leaving brochures at coffee shops, or simply having a clean, wrapped truck parked in neighborhoods you work in. Driving the neighborhood works too. If you spot a home with lights that don't look good, that's a door worth knocking on. Those same instincts carry over into commercial and municipal work. You're still being proactive, but the lead looks a bit different. Instead of meeting a homeowner at a home show, you're going to try and identify the decision maker. That could be a property manager, marketing manager, facilities manager, general manager, parks manager, or someone else entirely. A lot of it is investigative work. Use LinkedIn, company websites, directories, and sales tools to find direct contact information. Sometimes though, the easiest approach is simply to pick up the phone and ask, who looks after your Christmas lighting or seasonal decorations? Once you've found the right person, your goal isn't to sell them on the spot, it's to start a conversation and secure a simple next step. Whether that's a 10-minute introductory call or a site walkthrough, that's where you gather the information you need to build a thoughtful proposal and accurate quote. But who's our ideal residential customer? Think about a family like the Hendersons. They moved into their new home just 6 months ago and are still settling in. They're meeting with landscapers, planning exterior renovations, and figuring out what they want the property to look like over the next few years. They already know one thing though, they want their home to stand out at Christmas time. What they don't want is a one-size-fits-all solution or something they'll have to rip out when they update the front of the house. They want a custom lighting design that's built specifically for their home today, but flexible enough to adapt to their landscaping and renovations how they evolve. They value quality, convenience, a finished look, and they're happy to hire professionals to make it happen. That's our customer. They're investing in their home. They appreciate premium service, and they want a Christmas lighting solution that grows with their property, not one that they'll have to start over with every few years. That's a green light. Here's the truth about this business. It's a luxury service, and it's hard to find the right person. Not everybody wants Christmas lights. So a big part of the job is finding people who value it, and then selling the service the right way. So what do we do when the lead comes in? The first thing I do is reach right back out. If they call, I answer, and whenever I can, I get in front of them face to face, because behind an email, the customer doesn't get that relationship vibe that you're after. So I schedule a meeting with them in person. But before I ever drive out there, I qualify, meaning I determine if the job opportunity will be worth our time. And that has to start with budget. Someone can want the world on a small budget, especially in peak season. You can't waste 2 hours driving to a property only to find out their budget is way below your minimum. So I'm upfront. I'll say, here's our minimum. If it fits your budget, I'd love to come walk the site and discuss the options. If it doesn't, that's completely okay. We'll save both of us some time. Knowing your minimums is important because it protects your margins and ensures you're quoting work that's actually profitable and sustainable. If you don't know your numbers, it's easy to take on work that keeps you busy, but doesn't necessarily make you money. More on that later. On a phone call or email, I'll figure out what they actually want. I'll ask, are you looking for seasonal or something more permanent? Just roof lines, or are you thinking about lighting up some trees as well? That first call with the Hendersons told me everything I needed to know. They were looking for a seasonal display, specifically not permanent, with roofline lights and a handful of trees illuminated throughout the property. They had previously invested in seasonal lighting at their last home, which they left behind when they sold it. So they already understood the value and the cost of the premium service we provide. Based on the scope of what they wanted, it was clear that the project aligned with our minimum project size, so we booked an on-site consultation. One tip before the site visit: send the client photos and videos, similar projects you've completed. It helps them visualize what's possible and gets them excited before you even arrive. If they're interested in tree lighting, include examples of both canopy wraps and trunk wraps so they can start thinking about which style they prefer. When a lead makes it past the phone and email stage, it's time for a site visit. The first thing I do is let the client talk. Ideally, they should be doing 90% of the talking, while I ask questions and guide the conversation. I'll ask what they like, what they've seen around the neighborhood, and how they could picture their home looking. As they start describing their ideas, they'll often get excited and begin selling themselves on the project. If they don't have a vision yet, that's totally okay. That's where you come in. I'll walk the property with them and point out different opportunities, helping them imagine what is possible. I usually start by recommending roof lines. They're one of the simplest features to install, but they also make the biggest visual impact. From there, you can build on the design together. I'll show clients a couple of different styles to consider, different colors, roof line options, or tree lighting like canopy wraps versus trunk and branch wraps, but I'll try to keep it to 2 options. Too many choices can overwhelm people. You don't need to show them every possible feature on your first visit. If you start adding trees, wreaths, garland, etc., the project quickly grows beyond their budget. Start simpler. Let's do this one thing this year, and maybe next year we can add more. The year after, more again. That builds a relationship, and it works. And knowing their budget lets me steer the design. If it's tight, maybe we skip the expensive trunk and branch wrap and switch to a canopy wrap that uses less product and install time. One of the biggest mistakes estimators make is missing important details during the estimating process. During peak season, you may not always have the time to visit every property, so you end up quoting from photos or Google Street View. The problem is that Street View could be years out of date and the property may look completely different today. If you can't visit the site in person, always have the client send current photos and even hop on a video call and check when the Street View imagery was last updated before building your estimate. I determined what the installation would look like at the Hendersons by breaking the project down into features. We had about 160 feet of roof line, roughly 100 feet on the upper level, and another 65 feet on the lower level. We also had 1 large deciduous tree in the backyard and 2 in the front that would receive trunk and branch wraps, along with 6 magnolias along the street getting canopy wraps. Once I've defined the scope, I look at the site conditions that could affect the installation time. I ask myself, how are we accessing the roof? Is there enough room for ladders? Is the ground level? Are there overhead power lines? Are there any obstacles that will slow the crew down? At the Hendersons, I noted 2 things. First, the upper roof line would require a 32-foot extension ladder with standoffs. And because part of the driveway is on a slight incline, we may need a second installer to foot the ladder if conditions are slippery. Second, one of the front trees sits on a retaining wall, limiting ladder placement and making the trunk and branch wrap more difficult. That additional installation time needs to be reflected in your estimate. The more details you identify during the site visit, the more accurate your estimate will be, and the fewer surprises your installation crew will run into on installation day. If there's an opportunity to present a permanent lighting option, the first step is to identify which type of customer you're speaking with. If they have little interest in color or customization, it's probably not worth pursuing the conversation. However, if they get excited about the flexibility of changing colors, animations, or creative displays for different holidays and events, then it's worth introducing Chroma Glow Pro. Rather than focusing solely on the upfront investment, explain the long-term value. A homeowner who plans to stay in their home for several years and is willing to invest today can eliminate the annual cost and inconvenience of seasonal installation and removal. When paired with a strong warranty, the value proposition becomes very compelling for homeowners who have the means and intend to enjoy professional lighting for years to come. All right, the site visit is finished. If I have the time, I prefer to build the quote right there on the site. It gives me an opportunity to walk the client through the pricing and answer any questions they have and see their initial reaction. If they're ready to move forward, I'll often ask if they'd like to secure the installation with a deposit that day. Depending on the job and your business, you might even consider offering a small discount for an on-the-spot deposit. If I don't have the time to quote on site, I'll let the homeowner know. They'll have a quote by the end of the day. So let's talk pricing in more detail. Roof lines are fairly straightforward. You're looking at a total footage, the installation height, the light spacing. A 3rd floor roof line costs more to install than a 1st floor roof line, and light spaced every 6 inches takes longer to install and require more clips than light spaced every 12 inches. The same goes for trees. The larger and taller the tree, the longer the installation and the higher the cost. Then you factor in the lighting style. For example, a trunk and branch wrap is much more labor intensive than a canopy wrap. Now let's talk about the numbers that matter the most. Margin. We target around 60% gross margin, and you can watch it come together on the Hendersons estimate. We start with the roof line, 165 feet at about $4 per foot for roughly $660 in materials. Then we add in the trees. The 3 deciduous trees required 55 strings approximately at a total of $36 per string, bringing that to just under $2,000. and the 6 magnolias were estimated at around 7 strings each, adding another $1,500 approximately. Next came labor. Roof lines are priced based on footage, while trees are priced based on number of light strings and the installation style. Once I factor everything in, our labor came to around $4,125. Finally, don't forget the small items that are easy to miss. Clips, extension cords, splitters, adapters, zip plugs, timers, and any other installation accessories. On the Henderson's projects, those added up to another $638. When you put it all together, the project comes in at just under $9,000. Every line item is priced to maintain that target margin, and that margin isn't about being greedy. It's about protecting your business. It gives you the room to cover unexpected costs, stand behind your warranty, and if the client asks, offer a small discount without cutting into your labor or losing money on the job. And a note on return customers, don't discount your labor to win the first year. If you cut into labor now, you're stuck charging the same low labor next year, and the labor only gets more expensive. When you need to give something up, discount the product. That keeps expectations realistic for every season after. Now, I package it all up. Here's some advice. On a big quote, know the line between too much information and not enough. There should be no vague line items where the client would have to question what you are charging. But at the same time, you don't want to go into too much detail. Keep it simple. Separate your labor from your supplies, and any other equipment should be on a separate line item. AI renderings are huge here. Dropping a rendering into a quote helps the client actually see the vision. It can be the difference between making a sale and not, but it has to be accurate to what you'll actually install. I've learned this the hard way. Last year I presented a rendering. The finished install looked beautiful, but it wasn't exactly what was in the AI generated image, and the client wasn't impressed. So now, if part of that rendering won't be included, I note it as part of the quote and tell the customer directly, or just fight with AI until you get that image accurate. I did this for the Hendersons, and the rendering ended up looking exactly like how the home install went, and they were super happy about it. Speaking to add-ons, you could also bring up wreaths and garland. They're the simplest thing to throw into your truck, so your installers can offer them right on site. We've got wreaths. Want one up while we're here? Here's the price. That's about the easiest sale there is. The wreath and garland are cheap to add, and they make the front entrance pop. And now we get to closing the deal and how to get the quote approved. First thing to remember, don't be afraid to be a little pushy. Emails, phone calls, just stay on it and get the understanding of where their head's at. If they haven't told you no, it is still a possible yes. On cold leads, don't hammer them daily. A nice follow-up about once a month goes a long way. The number one objection is always price, and you can work with it. Adjust how much is being installed or discount on the product. The Hendersons did what buyers almost always do. Ask if I could do a little better. Because I had priced the quote to a 60% margin, there was built-in wiggle room. I shaved a small amount off the product line items, not my labor, and still kept the job profitable, which let me bring the package down to their comfort level without setting a precedent that my install work is negotiable. The real money is in repeat business. Nail the first year, then reach out at the right time. My favorite trick, offer free storage of their lights. Now you've got their product, and a natural reason to call them in August or September to book their next year's install. If I could teach a new salesperson one habit, it's this. Let the customer do all the talking. Let them tell you their hopes and dreams for their home, then help make it realistic. Keep them on their own vision and gently point them in the right direction, within their budget. Do that, and they sell themselves. You're just selling them their own vision. So now you know the process, how to find leads, talk with prospective clients, read and price a property to a real margin, and package it into an offer they'll approve. That's exactly what we just did with the Hendersons. A home show lead turned into a signed quote that hit their budget and my margin. But getting the approved quote is only half of it. Once you've got the job, you've got to actually deliver a finished install that looks incredible. So in the next module, Kevin will be going over what makes an installation look and feel professional to the client.